Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're still at Nile TV International, our today's edition of the Breakfast Show. And of course, we got so many prominent Egyptians working and doing great job in the United Nations and representing Egypt actually in the great global bodies, even in the in different fields in the United Nations. Recently joined by Dr. Rani Al-Masha, the Planning and Economic Development and the International Cooperation, and to shed more light on this and about the role of Egypt, preparing and actually trying to build calibers within the framework of Egypt's vision of 2030, and also the concerning the role of such prominent Egyptians in the UN. We are most delighted to have our guest here in the studio, Dr. Mohamed Talaat, expert in the international law. Dr. Mohamed, great pleasure having you with us. Very good morning to you.
Pleasure is all mine, as usual. Yeah.
Well, Egyptians are supposed always to be so proud to Egypt. And we got so many prominent Egyptian names and working in the United Nations. Recently joined by Dr. Rani Al-Masha, we got before Dr. Yasmin Fuad, the former Minister of Environment. We got before also the former Minister of the Social Solidarity, Dr. Ghada Wali, doing also great over there in the United Nations. And before that, we got also on the in the legal or the judicial bodies of the United Nations, like Dr. Abdullah Badawi and Dr. Abdullah Al-Aryan, Abdul Hamid Badawi. Yes. So are there many prominent working there. How this supposed to really advance Egypt's stance in the global organizations like the United Nations?
Well, it does, of course, but prior to advancement, this is an indication and evidence that Egyptians are well brought up educational-wise, because there is always some insinuations that Egyptians are not being well educated, and that the education of Egypt in Egypt is less than the international standards and so forth. Now, the mere fact that there are so many Egyptians, prominent figures, that have been designated in such international roles stands as a solid indication and evidence that education in Egypt is up to speed, and that it is able to produce distinct figures that are qualified to hold such figures.
Yeah, and let's go beyond this and concerning the legal bodies like the ICJ, how this influenced actually joining by many prominent Egyptians like Dr. Abdullah Al-Aryan and also Dr. Abdul Hamid Badawi, how this influenced overall the standing at the United Nations as well?
Well, there are three figures that have been able to hold positions in the International Court of Justice: Dr. Abdul Hamid Badawi, Dr. Abdullah Al-Aryan.
The father, by the way, is the father of Dr. Mohamed Al-Aryan, of course, the greatest economist in the White House. Yes.
Right. And Dr. Fuad Riyad. So three, I mean, this is a significant number, that three from Egypt have been able to hold positions in the International Court of Justice. And definitely it does have an impact on the court itself, because we're able to pass on the experience and build up of the Egyptian legal knowledge into the court and infuse it into the court. So it does, of course, advance the legal knowledge of Egypt in the area.
Yeah. Sometimes we're just listening from media resources and mass media that Egypt is sometimes facing, as an Arab and African country, some difficulties and challenges in advancing the or seeking high-level UN posts by voting, for example. Sometimes, What's your take on this?
We are not. I mean, the UNESCO, we have just taken the UNESCO, and Dr. Khaled Anani has been able to hold this position. And as you just mentioned, recently, Dr. Rania Al-Mashat, and before that, Dr. Ghada Wali and Dr. Yasmin Fouad, and so forth.
The Egyptians are doing great.
So the Egyptians are doing great, and the women in particular, the
yeah, I'm not prejudicing, but the women are
no, I'm pro-women.
Yeah, me too.
So they are they're holding so many positions, and Dr. Mu'ayt is also as well, and Dr. Mahmoud Muhiddin. We shouldn't remember all of these. So there are so many Egyptians names, across the history that have been able to hold prominent and high-level positions in the different fora of the United Nations. And as I said, this is strong evidence that Egypt is able to produce proper and prominent figures to hold such high-level positions.
Yep, allow me to such an important point in particular, but let me first focus on the when such prominent Egyptian names working and having high-level seats on the in the United Nations. How this supposed to be like, or how they're supposed to play as representatives for Egypt and ambassadors as well, but indirect way, of course, within the framework of the I mean, the United Nations, and also the constraints of the United Nations.
Well, this very much depends on the seat itself, because some seats you are representing Egypt on it, and others you are a member of the body itself, like being in the court, in the ICG, for instance. You're not representing anybody. You are a judge sitting on the court. You are independent, and whatever judgments that come out come independently based on the parameters of law. So you're not really representing a country per se. So it very much depends on the position. Like for instance, Dr. Mu'ayt is representing certain countries, including Egypt. So this is a representation, while others you are independent, standalone, and you just render your judgments or positions based on your own belief without being affected by any other sources, like being a representative of a certain country.
Yeah. Well, based on current patterns, and what roles are Egyptians, jurists, and female diplomats likely to play in the United Nations legal and policy bodies over the next decade, your point of view?
We forgot Dr. Boutros Ghali, by the way, also, who has held the highest position in the United Nations. Getting back to your question,
and in particular about the women, the Egyptian women.
Well, as I said, I mean, I'm pro women, and I see that the women are playing a fundamental role in this respect, and they're being advanced in the bodies of the United Nations. So long as we have renowned and well-educated women, they would be eligible to hold such senior positions here. So I do believe that there would be an opportunity for them going forward.
Coming over to the point that you've raised within your answers, and concerning Egypt's strategy, educational system in Egypt. How is Egypt, under the umbrella of Egypt's vision of 2030 and the sustainable development, is really investing, doing great investment in the human resources, and which is which we are seeing now on such a prominent.
Contrary to what people believe, there are so many schools and universities that have been established over the last decade or so, and some of them are very high-level educational fora, so they would be able to prepare appropriate graduates that will be eligible senior positions in different bodies worldwide.
Yep, and most of them, by the way, are likely to be alumni from the Egyptian universities, like
Yes.
Ain Shams University and the Cairo University, by the
The
way.
only, the
Now,
only, the
yeah,
only downside of it that the younger generation are
yeah.
using English more than Arabic now.
The AUC and like Dr. Rania
Even
Hashrat and
even younger than that. I mean, they
yeah,
all converse in English, and you hardly hear Arabic, which is not good. So
yeah,
they have to also work on their Arabic language in addition to the English. So it is good, of course, that you would master English or French, but I hope also that they would be working on their Arabic, so we would be up to speed in Arabic as well as the other languages. Yeah.
yes.
Because I detect that the younger generation are not interested in the language, and they're more focused
Which
on
language
English,
you
yeah,
mean?
on
The
Arabic,
first
yeah.
in Arabic
Arabic,
language, the
yes.
mother tongue. Yeah.
And they're very much into English, which is good, of course, but they also have to substantiate their Arabic language. Yeah.
Yeah, many of us were really the same situation, but afterwards we've got to learn the importance of our mother tongue and the importance
Absolutely,
and the
yeah.
significance of the Egyptian,
Absolutely,
sorry,
yeah.
of the Arabic language as well as one of the main 6 languages in the first of all,
Of course,
and many other statistics referring to the importance and significance
absolutely,
of the
and
Arabic
it
language.
is an important language, and as you said, it's one of the languages recognized by the United Nations.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, how we're supposed to build on what we've achieved through our calibers and our prominent Egyptians in the UN with the new generation, your point of view, to prepare them for seeking also high-level seats in the global bodies like the United
Well,
Nations?
I believe that the media has to play a role in this respect and flag out that there are so many Egyptians that have held positions over the years in the United Nations, and the success of these figures. This would be, in my opinion, an impetus for the younger generation to have aspirations to hold such positions in the future when they learn that their predecessors and ancestors have been able to succeed in the international organizations and hold important roles in there.
Yeah.
So the media has to play a role in this respect and emphasize it, which is not being emphasized enough, to be frank with you. I don't believe that the younger generation do know. For instance, I don't think that the lawyers and the judges do know that the 3 Egyptians have held seats on the International Court of Justice. This is not very well known
many
to
does
many
not
of them.
really know. Yep, you're
And
right.
since the 40s, I mean, we started in the 40s. So since the 40s, Egypt is in the International Court of Justice.
Yep, so it's not a recent issue. Coming over to how many Egyptians women like Dr. Naila Gabr and Ambassador Mushira Khattab influenced the work of CEDAW and the Committee on the Rights of the Child? By the way, CEDAW is the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women.
So
How
the question is, any
mean,
discrimination against women? No, I mean, there is no discrimination against women, at least in Egypt, women hold equal rights.
There
could be de facto discrimination, but not legal discrimination.
Yeah, but not here in Egypt, you mean? Yeah, we are not.
I mean, women have equal rights. Actually, sometimes they have more rights
but
than men.
But the CEDAW, I mean, the CEDAW, they have another task also to fight against
yes, of course,
and to eliminate the discrimination also against the children. So that's why they're doing a great job also.
They are absolutely doing a great job, yes. In some countries, of course, there are still discrimination, and this is something that has to be eliminated. And hopefully people understand that it's outdated, it's something that should not exist anymore.
Yeah, I mean, concerning the fighting against the discrimination of children worldwide, not only in Egypt, as they are working in the CEDAW and the international bodies. So they are trying also to fight all discrimination means concerning or against the children and the work of children, and etc.
Well, the discrimination stems from poverty, to be very frank with you. I mean, families,
And in the African continent,
right,
we're
some of
still
them,
suffering,
or
yeah,
some of
really.
the poor, because of poverty, families force their children to work as a way to raise funds in order to sustain life. Yeah. So you need to work on the source in order to be able to achieve the results. So the more poverty, the more misabuse of children and forcing them to work at a younger age. So if the poverty improves, now the result would improve. Yeah.
Yeah.
The outcome would improve. Yeah.
Yeah, of course, as we mentioned in the very beginning, it's a great source of pride for Egypt for having such a prominent Egyptians working on the judges' bodies like the ICJ and etc. And coming a bit earlier to Dr. Abdelhamid Badawi, how his role shapes Egypt's reputation in the international bodies.
It did, of course. I mean, the mere fact that we have such a prominent figure on the
and
International
without
Court of
prejudicing, of course,
Justice.
because of his post over there.
Yeah, but
Yes.
the mere fact that we have such a prominent figure on the International Court of Justice is a great pride. Has always been a great pride to Egypt, which has been followed by other too, as we just mentioned. But even before, I mean, going back, I mean, just taking into account that the United Nations was founded in the 40s, and that we had an Egyptian in 1947, I believe, 2 years after the formation of the United Nations and the International Court of Justice, is an indication and, as I said, a mere evidence that Egyptians have been very well educated and eligible to hold such senior positions here.
Yeah. Coming back to the prominent Egyptian women in the United Nations, and this refers actually to the golden era of the Egyptian women under the leadership of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, and actually how this really refers to this and the importance of the significance of the Egyptian women under the
It is a golden era. Look, as we just mentioned,
It is
so many
actually,
Egyptian
and
women
without
that
prejudicing,
that
yeah,
have held
please.
positions in the United Nations. I mean, you just named almost 10 of them now.
And
Yeah.
all the men
in
are
the last
anything,
decade,
yes.
under the guidance of the presidential policy. Yeah. So 1 year after the other, there is a woman in the United Nations. Yeah. I mean, just Dr. Ghada Wali finished her position. Now Dr. Narani Al-Mashad has had the position, and Dr. Yasmin Fouad, and so forth.
Yeah.
So one woman after the other are holding positions in the United Nations, yeah,
Yes.
which is a clear conduit that Egyptian women is being well recognized in the international forum.
Even domestically, when we come closer also to the cabinet where we're watching
Well,
so
yes,
many
of course. I mean,
governors and
you
so many ministers.
do recall that the president himself said, well, like 2 or 3 years ago, I am the defender of women. Yeah.
Yep. And we do
so
appreciate,
he do believe,
actually, yes.
he does have a strong belief in the capabilities of women. Yeah.
You do have
and
really
I am a supporter of women, so I'm also I'm a strong believer in the play and the role that women can play. Yeah.
Yes, I mean, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi does really have great respect to the women in particular. I mean, really, which is appreciated. Yep.
Indeed, of course, yeah.
When we sometimes getting closer to some areas and marginalized areas, do we still have, we watch this lack of education in which we are fighting this through the decent life or Hayat Karima?
طبعا, definitely there is still is in the rural areas.
Lack of education, lack of rights for women in the
upper
upper Egypt and in some areas.
It has improved, of course. Yeah.
Yep.
It has improved. Even when I go to the countryside, I can detect that this has improved. But still, I mean, many of them do not continue their education, for instance, and they just parents would not allow them to continue universities. Particularly, I believe in Upper Egypt, this probably would be more common. I hope that the media would be able to play a role in educating families that women equal rights, and they should have the opportunity to continue education. Now, one significant scoop or news that has been mentioned based on what I read in the papers yesterday is the judgment that came out from the Court of Appeal in Port Said, allowing a woman to spend the night over in the hotel and actually sentencing the manager to jail because he disallowed a woman to spend the night by herself in a hotel.
Yep.
I don't know whether you have read this in the papers or not,
Yep.
but this is definitely...
And this is unfair, actually. I mean, it's
not
totally
only
unfair. Maybe
it's
she's
illegal.
obliged to do
It is
this.
illegal.
Yep,
It's not
it is
only
illegal,
unfair,
right.
it is illegal.
Exactly.
There is absolutely
Maybe
no
she has
rule
no shelter to
that
any place
would
to
allow
go to.
a hotel to prevent a woman from spending a night in the hotel by herself.
Yep.
I mean, this was insane, and I was dismayed to learn what I read in the media, that the lower court has upheld this decision by the manager. Now the Court of Appeal reversed it, and not only that, based on what I read also, that he has been penalized for such a decision. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So this is another feat for women. Yeah.
Yep, and concerning the changing the mindset of some people still in the Upper Egypt and the countryside, and as you mentioned, in which the girl is still suffering from lack of education, etc., and lack of many getting their rights, their humanitarian rights. On this side, a parallel, we talk about the decent life or Haya Karima, and also how the media. You said that number one is the media. It's supposed to try to build awareness concerning this. How the media is supposed also with the NGOs and also within the framework of decent life to get to change this mind in such places, such areas?
My understanding that Decent Life, Haya Karima, has...
You're sending social workers and...
right,
yeah.
has presence in different provinces in the country. So the representatives of this organization should work on the mindset. There has to be educational lessons. There has to be visits to houses. There has to be attempt to change the mindset and to convince the spouses, the men, that by allowing the women to have equal rights from a factual standpoint, one, it is not in any respect lessening the manhood, because as is an issue that exists in rural areas, manhood has a certain impact there. So we need to convince them that this does not impact, it doesn't have any negative impact on them. I mean, by having proper wife, well educated, you're actually helping the household itself, and you're helping the offsprings to be better educated and better contributors to life and to their own country. Now, this is coupled with media. I hope that over the years this would improve.
Yeah.
But we have to work hard on it. We have to work on the field, and we have to go down to these people and speak to them and give them educational lessons on it.
Yeah, concerning the educational levels and educational lessons, etc. And lead, I mean, at the end, I would like to ask you concerning this social media, and as long as you mentioned negativity. And in the very beginning, you mentioned that we've got to trust ourselves. We've got to have faith or belief, to believe that we can do, that Egyptians are great, starting from the time of ancient Egyptians and the great civilization that we have, that we've got to go and to build on, to believe that we can do when we really want to do. So how we've tried to, or we start to fight against the negative vibes and etc., which we sometimes just having and witnessing in the social media. Like you said, no, we cannot, we are not able to, we are Egyptians, we cannot, we are not able to, only the foreigners, they are Germans or etc.
There is one photograph that comes up on the media every now and then of a Japanese delegation coming down to Cairo here in the mid-19th century, and they were photographed by the pyramids in order to stand on the advancements and achievements that Egypt has been able to reach. So Egypt has had achievements ever since. Yeah. You need to know that Egypt is the second country worldwide that had a railway, for instance. Yeah. I don't know whether many Egyptians know this or not.
Yep.
I mean, we have had a
and
constitution.
And we're supposed to export the fashion to Paris. Yeah.
And the zoo, we were the second most prominent zoo worldwide.
Yep.
And so we had a constitution since mid-19th century, for instance. Yeah. So we have had so many achievements over the years, but people do not know that. This is a problem that I present always, that Egyptians do not know well about their history. Egyptians do not know, for instance, that there is an Egyptian food, for instance, and they keep talking about food of different countries, whatever,
the Italian cuisine,
Lebanese, French, and so forth.
Yep.
We have a cuisine as well.
Yep.
We don't know about it yet.
One of the most greatest cuisines worldwide.
People would sit there and just tell you that we don't have an Egyptian cuisine. This is untrue.
Way.
We do have an Egyptian cuisine.
Yeah.
But we don't see many Egyptian restaurants, for instance, because we don't know and we don't learn about our own history.
No, recently we got so many. I'll just will guide you to some of them if you're interested. Yes.
The media has to play this role. You have to play this role.
Yeah, we're trying. We're doing our almost well. Dr. Mohamed Talaat, expert of international law. Many thanks for being with us, for your insights, and for great, valuable news.
Thank you very much.
Have a nice day. Thank you.